God. God. Great success.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I've never cleaned that gun. This is the bolt carrier group from that weapon. And this is supposed to be a nickel boron bolt carrier group. It's looking pretty rough. So the goal of today's video is to go through that weapon and see if we can restore it to full operational status. And we're going to start with the bolt carrier group because this is actually going to sit and soak today. This is a huge cleaning kit that Otis sent me. It's got a whole bunch of goodies in it. Let's go ahead and get in here. What I want is down inside here. That guy. The cam pin has a clear crease in it right there. It looks pretty bad. Oh my gosh. This bolt is terrible. And we're just gonna put that in there and we're just gonna do ourselves a healthy layer of this in here. And we're just gonna let that sit overnight and we'll come back tomorrow and see what it has done to all that gunk. All right, I lied. It's been 2 days since I put this in here, so it's had a good old soak. And it looks like we did a decent job of sealing it in there. It doesn't look like it's eaten the container any, so that's good. So even this cheapy plastic crap survived. Now, in here, this is the top of that cleaning kit. This thing's pretty slick. It comes apart. I've been playing with it. The whole top half comes off. So if you need to, like, just take it and use the other half of it, it ends up turning into, like, a cleaning bench and stuff like that. We'll come back to that when we get to the rest of the gun. We got some brushes here. Let's go ahead and take a look in here and see what we have. And, it's kind of stinky, but I think that this is going to come loose. Let's start with, so we have 3 brushes here. Let's start with the polymer one and see what we can do here. Yeah, we're going to have to skip the polymer one. That's not going to work. There, that's what we're looking for. The only thing about these copper ones is the copper ones leave like a coppery color on it. So let's go with this plated one here. And you know what's crazy about this is, like I said, this stuff is volatile. You can watch it literally vap off. So I'm assuming that this stuff, again, I didn't do any of the reading of the manuals or anything, but I'm assuming that this stuff is designed to be kind of like sprayed on and it just kind of like blasts all the goo out. There's a whole bunch of, you know, other products in that thing that I should probably go figure out what they are. But already this has drastically improved the cleanliness of this thing. We're gonna switch to a different product here after we get the majority of this gunk off. This one just kind of smelled a whole heck of a lot like toluene to me, and in my experience, that's a really good agent for removing massive quantities of carbon fouling. So there she is after initial cleanup. I went out and took some macro shots of the bolt really quick because I was pretty impressed with how well it cleaned up with just a little bit of this quick scrub. So I now want to move on to something a little bit more abrasive because, as you can see here at the back, if I take this and just hit it, you can see the dustiness coming off right there, and that's going to need some work. I'm going to move to something a little bit more abrasive. This is Otis's MC7 bore cleaner, and this is supposed to remove plastic, shotgun wad fouling, lead powder residue, or lead and powder fouling, as well as copper. Now, I don't typically use stuff that removes copper because I don't believe in removing copper from your barrel. I think once it's there, you should leave it alone. But let's just see if we add a little bit of this to this part right here, if we can precipitate the removal of this stuff. One thing that I wanted to point out to you guys really quick is what a defect looks like. So again, this gun has never been cleaned. In fact, I forgot that this was the original bolt. And you can see the Midwest Industries witness mark there on the carrier. But if you look here, there's a defect. And that's what that looks like. I'll have a macro shot for you guys. And then we're going to go ahead and put this back together before we move to the actual gun. And we're going to use some actual lubricant when we put it back together. I am not big on like super duper scrub clean, but how I would do this is a little bit there so it leaks down inside, a little bit there, a little bit there. And then when this whole thing is pressurized, it's going to just basically push that everywhere. A little bit of grease on the lugs there, a little bit on the rails. And here we have a nice side-by-side comparison. Earlier on, I showed you that this comes apart. So if you want the tools in this thing, you don't have to take the whole kit. Just have it right in there in all those dividers and you're off to the races. The bottom here, let's say that you want to work on the lower receiver. Wunderbar, right? But, you know, lower receivers aren't like really integral to the function as far as like cleanliness are concerned, so we're just going to go ahead and skip that. But what is important is the upper receiver. So if we wanted to, say for instance, work on the upper, well now we have a basically drip pan that is set up for work with this upper receiver. Let's just adjust this a little bit. And the important part for my purposes when it comes to cleaning the lower, or excuse me, the upper, is the chamber up in here. And it looks pretty filthy. This right here is an AR-15 cleaning brush. It's a specialized brush. It's kind of expensive as far as like cleaning brushes are concerned. You do not need one of these. There are plenty of other combinations that you can use. For instance, one of the things that Otis does is these combination packs. And what I've done here is I've just pulled some brushes out. And if you want to go for the literal, then you would use a 12 gauge brush. But I find that if you're doing them individually with like a short rod like this, that it's easier if you use something like this 20 gauge brush here. 20 gauge brush and then a 30 caliber brush. So we're going to go ahead and just go back to the bore cleaner. Right like that. And we're just going to go inside, and all we're trying to do is rotate this inside of that chamber just to break loose whatever could be in there. We're not trying to super scrub this thing because as soon as we fire that first shot, it's going to get dirty again. So what we're looking for is specifically to just remove any big chunkies that could be in there. We're now just going to switch over to this 30 caliber brush. Do the same thing. Put a little scrubber on there. Up inside. And we're not looking to get it stuck or anything. We're just going up in there and we're just trying to bottom it out on the throat for the purposes of just getting those sidewalls. We want it to be a little bit loose, and you can see this little bit is how much room we have. Because you can tell when I pull this out that is a little bit smaller than that. And then we're going to transition to doing the actual barrel. And this is all I'm going to do for the barrel. What I have here is a 223 caliber bore snake. Make sure that you are using the correct caliber. Ask me how I know.
5 minutes earlier.
And then we put the brush, the 223 caliber brush on the end of it there. And then inside of here, And I'm going to pull it out so you guys can see it. In the thick portion right there, we're just going to take some of this bore cleaner and we're just going to go down its length. There you have it. And then I like to run it a second time because now the brush has gone down through there and loosened up a little bit. Again, we aren't super scrubbing this gun. We're just making sure that it's operationally clean. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Back to our quick scrub. And now we have a suppressor full of flammable material. Metal for working on steel. Polymer for working on aluminum. The last thing that you need to do to make sure that you restore the gun to full functionality is you will notice that that dimension there is precisely the dimension for the raceway on your charging handle. It fits up in there just right. You want to take that polymer one. We'll just take some fast scrub here. We don't need anything super abrasive. It's just carbon buildup. We just want to take that up in there and make sure that we hit that raceway both on the top surface and then on the side surfaces, right like that. And then quick scrub that out. And we should be ready for range time.
As I have alluded to throughout this video, I'm not big on super cleaning guns. I have some weapons that are immaculate, like some collector pieces, as well as like my defensive guns. Those are very clean. The bolt carrier group on my defensive rifle over there is probably cleaner than some of the silverware in the drawer over there. But when it comes to my work guns, I don't really spend that much time on them because they're just going to get filthy tomorrow. And if I spent the time to clean them regularly, then I wouldn't get anything done. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. A quick reminder, this is where we started. This is where we finished on the bolt carrier group. This is where we started on the chamber. This is where we finished. And the gun runs great. Thanks for tuning in to the VSO Gun Channel. Hopefully we see you on a future video.